All right, let's do this. Today, we're going deep on Anup Engineering, and we're armed with their investor presentations and financial reports. Now, forget sleek tech gadgets for a minute. We're talking massive structures here, the kind of things that build industries.
It's about the backbone, really, the things that make everything else possible.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you see a flashy ad for, like, a giant heat exchanger. But try running an oil refinery or a fertilizer plant without them. Probably no lights on right now either, come to think of it.
Right. Anoop's been in the game since 1962. That's over 6 decades they've seen it all, and in this industry, that kind of experience speaks volumes. Clients need to know you can deliver, and Anoop's history definitely checks that box.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What kinds of massive metal things are we talking about? And who's ordering them?
Okay, imagine a huge oil refinery bustling with activity. You've got reactors, columns, towers, things that can stretch 100 meters long and weigh 1,000 tons. Anoop builds that. They're also big in fertilizer production, power generation, chemicals, even cutting-edge stuff like LNG and hydrogen.
Wow, so it's not just keeping the lights on, it's feeding the world and fueling the future, too.
Exactly. And get this, they're doing it all from India, but with a global network. They've got collaborations and licenses with companies in Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, the USA. They're tapping into expertise from all over the place to make sure their products are top-notch.
Smart move, right? Global brains. But the actual manufacturing muscle is largely in India.
Makes you wonder, where exactly are they building all this stuff? Do they have like a giant metalworking island somewhere?
Not quite an island, but their facilities are pretty impressive. Their main hub is in Kedah, Gujarat. It just opened last year, June 2023, and it's huge, covers 125,000 square meters. That's like 17 football fields, just to give you an idea. They can build things up to 100 meters long and 1,000 tons there.
1,000 tons? How do they even move something that weighs that much?
It's quite the operation. Requires specialized equipment and a ton of planning. But get this, they're already expanding the Kedah facility. Expanding.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What's the investor takeaway there? What does that tell us about Anoop's outlook?
Expansion usually means a company is anticipating growth. They're expecting more orders, more demand. They're betting big on the future.
Makes sense. A facility like that isn't cheap to run. They must see some serious opportunity down the line. But hold on. Kedah's not their only facility, is it? We've also got Mabel Engineering in the mix.
Right, Mabel's in Chennai. Smaller, more specialized. They've got a use stamp certification, which means they meet the highest American Society of Mechanical Engineers standards for pressure vessels. Not just anyone gets that. Their specialty is silos.
Silos, huh? Not just for grain anymore, are they? What else goes in a giant metal silo these days?
Oh, all sorts of things. You've got the classic grain storage, but also cement, fly ash, certain chemicals, anything that needs to be stored in bulk, really.
So you've got Kedah, the giant structure specialist, and then Mabel, the precision expert over in Chennai. Pretty diverse toolkit, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Gives them a lot of flexibility to cater to different clients and projects, which is essential when you consider their global reach. Over half their revenue comes from exports.
Right, we talked about their international collaborations, but this means they're not just tapping into knowledge, they're competing on the world stage. And winning, by the sounds of it.
They are. Going head-to-head with established players and securing contracts means their quality is there and their pricing's competitive. Strong signal for their global position.
All this global reach and massive projects, impressive stuff. But our listener wants to know the bottom line. Are they actually making money with all this metal-bending magic?
Oh, they're doing more than surviving. They're thriving. Looking at the 9 months leading up to December 31st, 2024, their revenue hit INR 503 crore.
Okay, break that down for those of us who don't speak crore fluently. How significant is 503 crore?
It's a lot of money, and what's really interesting is the growth rate. Compared to the same period the year before, it's up over 27%. That's serious momentum.
27%. That's not just growth. It's like their business is on a rocket ship.
Yeah.
But revenue's only part of the equation, right?
Yeah.
What about the actual profit?
Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. Their profit after tax is up over 44%, meaning they're not just bringing in more money, they're doing it more efficiently.
Booming revenue, skyrocketing profits. Sounds like they've cracked the code for success in heavy engineering.
It certainly looks that way, but it's crucial to remember no business operates in a bubble. There's always the broader economic context to consider: global uncertainties, potential disruptions, things like that.
Right. Even the best laid plans can go sideways. How do we factor that into our understanding of their performance? What should we be looking at to gauge how they might weather those storms?
The order book is always a good indicator. It's basically a snapshot of their current workload, the projects they have lined up, the value of those contracts. Gives us a glimpse into their future revenue.
Okay, so let's peek into Anoop's future. What's their order book telling us?
As of January 31st, 2025, it was a whopping INR 831 crore. Includes orders for their Mabel facility, too.
831 crore. That's even more than their 9-month revenue. That's a seriously healthy backlog.
It is. Strong demand, and it likely means they're booked solid for a while. But it's more than just a number, it's a vote of confidence from their clients. They trust Anup to deliver.
Makes sense. It's one thing to have a good year. It's another to have that kind of trust and commitment from your customers. Speaks to their reputation, the relationships they've built. But what exactly are they building? What's filling up that massive order book?
Heat exchangers are the big one. Over 52% of their orders. No surprise there, that's been their core strengths for years. But they've also got significant orders for pressure vessels, towers, reactors, even centrifuges.
So if you need something big, complex, meticulously engineered out of metal, Anoop's the name to know.
Definitely a major player, and this order book suggests they're going to be for a good while.
Wow, we went from giant metal things to a pretty compelling story of global reach, financial strength, and a future full of potential. Who knew financial reports could be so exciting?
They definitely can be when you know how to read them. The numbers tell a story, and in Anup's case, it's a story of innovation, adaptability, and resilience.
Here's the thing, though. We've seen how well they're doing in traditional industries, but what about the future? The world's shifting toward renewable energy, more sustainable solutions. What role could Anup play in all that?
Now, that is a fascinating question, and one we should definitely dig into. They're already working with hydrogen, they understand large-scale fabrication, they've got these international collaborations. It's all pretty relevant to the infrastructure needed for a greener future.
Right. Imagine looking at their investor presentations a few years down the line and seeing, like, wind turbine foundations or massive hydrogen storage tanks alongside their usual projects.
It's definitely within the realm of possibility. It'll be very interesting to see how they adapt and evolve to meet those demands.
That's a perfect cliffhanger to leave our listener on. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our Anup deep dive, but there's still plenty more to unpack.
There is. Looking forward to digging deeper into the specifics of their operations, their financials, and of course, their potential role in shaping a more sustainable future.
It's wild to think about, 1,000-ton structure. Like, how many elephants is that?
Well, an African bush elephant weighs about 6 tons, so...
So a lot of elephants.
Yeah.
But seriously, it's one thing to talk about it, it's another to actually picture it. And going through these investor presentations, they actually do a really good job of bringing it to life. Lots of visuals, photos of these massive structures being built, shipped across oceans, installed in all sorts of places. It's not just numbers on a page, they're telling a story.
It's a smart move. People connect with stories, and it makes the whole thing much more tangible, especially when you're talking about infrastructure, which can sometimes feel very abstract.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, look, we don't just build things, we build things that matter. But all this talk of giant structures and global operations, it makes you wonder about the people behind it all. Who's actually making this happen?
Anup has a workforce of over 1,500 skilled employees, engineers, welders, fabricators, project managers, a whole army of expertise.
Wow, 1,500 people? That's a lot of welding masks. But seriously, to manage that many people and maintain the level of quality they're known for, they must have some pretty rigorous training and development programs.
They do. Their investor presentations highlight their commitment to employee skill enhancement and safety. Makes sense. You can't build something this complex and massive without a highly skilled and dedicated team.
It's true. It's not just about the machines and the materials. It's about the human expertise behind it all. And I think it's a good sign that they're showcasing their workforce in their investor communications.
Absolutely. It shows they recognize that their people are a key asset. Just as important as their factories or their technology, it speaks to a broader understanding of what it takes to build a strong and sustainable organization.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Their history, their facilities, their global reach, their financials, their order book, even their people. What stands out to you as the most impressive aspect of Anup engineering?
That's a tough one. There's a lot to be impressed by. But if I had to pick one thing, I'd say it's their ability to combine longevity with adaptability. They've been around for over 6 decades, which means they've navigated all sorts of challenges, economic downturns, industry shifts, you name it. But they haven't just survived, they've thrived. And that comes from constantly evolving, embracing new technologies, strategically expanding into new markets.
Right. It's one thing to stay afloat. It's another to actually stay ahead of the curve. They're not just reacting to change. They're anticipating it.
Exactly. Which brings us back to that question we touched on earlier about their potential role in the renewable energy sector. I think they've got the skills, the experience, and frankly, the ambition to be a major player in that space.
It seems like a natural fit, right? They're already working with hydrogen. They've got the large-scale fabrication expertise, those international collaborations. Imagine Anup building offshore wind turbine foundations or huge hydrogen storage tanks.
It's definitely within the realm of possibility. Or even components for those next-generation nuclear fusion reactors. The future's wide open.
Anup Engineering, powering a sustainable future. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. But for now, we're focused on their current business, not their future endeavors. Back to the facts.
Right, back to the facts. Although it is fun to speculate a little, especially when you're looking at a company that really seems to embody the spirit of engineering. Solving problems, building things that matter, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said. It's a good reminder that engineering isn't just about numbers and equations. It's about vision, creativity, and a deep understanding of how to make things work and how to make them better.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about financial reports. It's a glimpse into the ingenuity and the determination that drive human progress.
Exactly. Understanding the forces that shape our world, the innovations that move us forward, and the people who make it all happen.
Well, we've covered a lot in this second part of our Anup Engineering deep dive. Their workforce, their approach to sustainability, even their potential role in shaping the future. But there's one crucial aspect we haven't talked about yet.
Risk. Every business faces it. And understanding how Anup manages risk is key to understanding their long-term prospects.
Right, because no matter how impressive their track record is or how bright their future seems, there are always challenges, uncertainties to navigate. So in our next part, let's dive into that world of risk assessment. See how Anup's preparing for the unexpected. Okay, so we're back, still digging deep into Anup Engineering. We've seen their strengths, their global reach, their potential role in a more sustainable future. But let's be real, no business is completely risk-free. So let's talk about the challenges they might face. How are they preparing for those choppy waters?
You know, it's actually quite refreshing to see how Anup addresses risk in their reports. They're very upfront about the factors that could impact their business, both short-term and long-term. No sugarcoating, and that kind of transparency is always a good sign.
Absolutely. So what are some of those risks? What are the things that might keep Anup's leadership up at night?
Well, one of the big ones is the cyclical nature of the industries they serve, like oil and gas, for example. It's a notoriously volatile sector. Prices go up, prices go down, demand fluctuates. Depends on so many things, from global politics to new technologies.
Right, makes sense. If their clients are facing uncertainty, it's going to have a ripple effect. But they've been operating these cyclical industries for decades, right?
Yeah.
They must have some strategies for dealing with the ups and downs.
Oh, they do. For one thing, they've built a pretty diverse client base across multiple sectors. Spreads the risk a bit. They also really focus on developing long-term relationships with those key clients. That can provide some stability even when the market gets a little crazy.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah.
So diversification, strong relationships, that's part of their risk mitigation strategy. What else are they doing?
Another thing they highlight is competition, both from companies here in India and internationally. The heavy engineering market is global, and Anup's always vying for contracts against some pretty big players.
So it's not just about being good, it's about being better, more competitive. How do they stay ahead of the pack?
Well, research and development is a big one. They're constantly looking for ways to improve their processes, develop new technologies, offer more innovative solutions. They're also pretty strategic about the projects they take on, focusing on areas where they have a clear advantage.
Playing chess, huh? Thinking a few moves ahead. But even the best chess players can get thrown off by, unexpected stuff. Raw material prices, supply chain issues, changes in regulations. Those things can hit any business, no matter how well managed.
Absolutely. And Anup acknowledges that in their risk assessments. They are actively working to secure their supply chains, negotiating long-term contracts for materials, closely monitoring regulatory changes. They're even looking into ways to hedge against currency fluctuations, which can really impact profitability.
So it sounds like they're taking a very proactive approach, multi-pronged even. They're not just hoping for the best, they're actually trying to anticipate those challenges.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that they've been doing this successfully for, well, over 6 decades. Think about that. They've weathered economic downturns, geopolitical crises, all kinds of disruptions. That kind of track record really speaks volumes.
It's true. It's one thing to have a plan. It's another to have actually lived through those tough times and come out stronger on the other side. Gives you a certain confidence in their ability to handle whatever comes next.
Right. They've got the experience, the expertise, the systems in place to manage risk effectively. And that's something investors really pay attention to. It's not just about today's profits, it's about the ability to sustain that success over the long haul.
Anyone can steer a ship in calm waters, right?
Yeah.
But it takes a skilled captain to navigate a storm. And it seems like Anup has a pretty experienced captain at the helm.
I like that analogy, and I think it's a great takeaway from our deep dive into Anup engineering. We've seen their capabilities, their global reach, their commitment to sustainability, but also their understanding of the risks involved and their proactive approach to managing those risks.
We've gone from giant metal structures to financial reports, from global markets to the challenges of navigating an uncertain future. It's been quite a journey.
It has, but like any good journey, it leaves us with some things to ponder. We've seen how Anup's thriving in these traditional industries, but how will they adapt as the world changes? Will they be a leader in the shift towards renewable energy? Will they continue to push the boundaries of engineering?
Those are the questions that keep us curious, right? The questions that make us want to keep exploring, keep learning, keep uncovering the stories behind the numbers. And hey, maybe a few years down the line, we'll do another deep dive into Anup engineering and see how they've answered those questions.
I would love that. It's a story worth following.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.